Yeah, you can start. That way we can go through the.
All right, good afternoon, Oriole Nation. Here we are, board meeting in May. Welcome.
All right, we're gonna get started. So we'll call to order the regular Board of Education meeting for North Fond du Lac here on May 22nd. So can I get a roll call?
Sure. Matthew?
Here.
Hockner? Goldowski, a few minutes late, and Geckerman?
Here.
And Yeager.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Excellent. And then Matt, I'll turn it to you for public notice.
So public notices were posted on the entrance of the doors of the district office, FLC, BAM's, Forest Man, and the school website on April 19th.
All right, and we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and I'll turn it back to Matt for the mission statement and agreements.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's great to see everybody here. This is a packed house, especially at the end of the year. So this is what we're all about here. Our mission statement as a board is we will develop policy that is representative of our community, which, as we see here, set goals and lead our district by collaborating. We live by the beliefs of stand up and own it, power of team, and passion for growth. We're continuously learning together as we own the work we get to do every single day for all of our students and all of our kids within this district. What an awesome gift.
Excellent. All right, our next item is consent agenda. And what we're approving, just as a reminder, is the approval for the consent agenda. The regular board meetings from April 24th, 2023. And then our 3 special board meetings, one from April 26th, another one from May 3rd, another one from May 15th. And then finally, the treasurer's report, which is in the board packet. So once everyone's ready, I'll just need a motion to carry the consent agenda.
So move. I'll second. All right.
All right, and then a roll call. Yep.
Matthew?
Yes.
Hock, yes. Goldowski, Sam Yeager,
Yes.
and Geckerman.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You good?
Yeah, on this agenda, this one's flipped on the board member thing.
Oh, gotcha.
We're good.
All right, well, then we'll jump into the board member share moment of pride. So I don't know who would like to go first. Rick?
Sure.
I don't have anything really in particular. I attended a bunch of events since the last meet, some track events, the chili supper for the jazz band and stuff. But one thing I noticed, and Matt or Dr. Mino brought it up a few weeks ago at one of the meetings, the attendance we get at these events is just phenomenal. Tonight we have a great attendance. So the support that the parents and residents of the village give, or the district give to the students is just amazing. So I'm pretty proud of being part of that.
Next. Similar to what Rick said, I attended a track meet last week, and it was a very large event. And I was actually standing next to a few ladies from another district. I'm not even sure where they're from, but they were commenting on the nice facilities that we have here in North Fond du Lac, the nice schools, and it was just kind of cool to hear, listen to them talk. They had no idea where I was from. You know, I was just kind of standing there watching the events, and they were talking about, you know, how nice North Fond du Lac facilities are.
All right. I also was at the conference meeting. Those are always fun to be at and see all the people there too. And then the other thing, I had the opportunity to fit in part of the staff but it's when the staff's here and the kids are at home.
Professional development?
In service.
In service, yeah.
I'm sorry. And I'll listen to Lucas Jaden, who is gonna work with the district, I guess, through next year, into next year. And just a fantastic speaker. I talked about it was like introduction to what he's gonna work with, but developing mental strength and focus and things like that. And spoke of his life and hurdles he's overcome, and you know, it was just a great event, so.
Ronnie, what do you get?
I think I'm good. I'm not sure what everybody else said, but, you know, end of the year, and, lots of stuff going on, from Project Grill to the Incubator EDU and all of those things. And a number of things that I didn't mention, but, you know, the students, the community, they really do us proud, and we shine. So thanks everybody for all of that, all the hard work.
Yeah, and mine is kind of similar to what just Vicky said. I took a minute to reflect on the year, and, you know, it's been, I think a great year of getting rhythm, I would say, and just really seeing the amount of progress the district continues to make, not only in students, but also the referendum with the facilities, and just all the work that goes into it. So to the staff, administrators, you know, great work this year. I know it's not over quite yet, but a lot of great work into it. And then who benefits from it is the students. So, you know, just seeing this today, I think, is a representation of that. So that's my item. All right. We will jump into our BAM's representatives. So I don't know who would like to, Mr. Gonzalez, yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mr. Gonzalez. If you don't know me, I'm the proud principal at Brescia Middle School. I'm here because I want to present a lot of our students that have participated in math competitions at UW Oshkosh, as well as our robotics team. But I want to kind of preface it by saying that we have had a lot of successes in academic competitions, and you know, this is the kind of things that we would like to celebrate school-wide and district-wide. Our honors band had 10, we had 10 members of our band participate in the Flyweight Honors Band this year. We had 9 solo and ensemble participants. We had a state honors band, an individual that was able to rehearse for it, audition for it. In terms of our spelling bee, we had 12 students in our school that participated. We had 2 regional qualifiers that participated in CISA 6. We have a trap club, which is a very unique opportunity. I'm very proud to be a member of a district that provides really outside of the box opportunities. And Patriots Pen is another, is a competition sponsored by the VFW and the Veterans of Foreign Wars in Fond du Lac. 4 of our students received awards for writing an essay this year. Choir, Mr. Rasmussen, do you want to share something real quick about
choir?
choir?
So a couple weeks ago, we had our spring concert. We also had a number of individuals as well participate in district solo ensemble, which I'll talk about later on too, but we had a tremendous success with that this past year. Obviously our band concert this past Thursday, and they have another event upcoming this Friday at the Kalahari in the Dells. So a lot of things that are still happening here within the last few weeks, music-wise.
Thank you. We are proud of our academic achievement, and we're striving to improve in that area. But it's besides the book knowledge, there's service to the community, service to oneself. And one other thing that we would like to continue to emphasize is how we compete with ourselves and against others in competitions like this. One of the things that I really want to emphasize is that we want to go out in the community. We want to compete, like I said, with ourselves and others. And one opportunity that happened recently was the UWO math competition. And I have Mr. Smith here, who led a group of students in that competition earlier this year. So go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. We were able to go on April 25th to UW Oshkosh, and they had a math competition from 65, there were 35 middle schools at the event, and there's also over about 40 high school teams there. And as Mr. Mino knows, from Appleton, Kimberly, all those schools were there and represented also. So it's all over the state, from all over, going and competing. When we go there, we have an individual testing session where I have 4 of my students right here of the 22 that were able to go compete in about an hour long, answering the 15 to 20 questions of the individual thing. And out of them, then it's graded and gone from there. And we have 1 student that actually placed in the top 10% of the whole event. And that right there is Miss Adeline Chitwood. And then we have this, then everyone comes back and they break into a team event where they work together and talk and brainstorm, come up with an idea of how to answer questions. And then we have each grade, we had 11 7th graders and 11 8th graders, 2 teams of 4 and 1 team of 3, and one of the teams of 3 7th graders also placed in the top 10%. And Mariah Ortiz was one member of that team, of the team of 3, along with Alex Foyt and Eli Czar, were the other 2 members of that team that placed in the top 10%. So that's quite an accomplishment out of the 65 schools that were there, and probably about 200, 300 teams when they break it down that way. So I'm very proud of them as we went. Mr. Gonzalez has the other information of how we did as a whole team compared to other schools and stuff that he's excited about to share that information. But it was a wonderful experience being able to offer students with that have been doing the right thing, to give them an opportunity to showcase themselves with the academic success that they've had. So I was proud to take them up there, along with Mr. Whitaker came up and helped me. We were able to share that experience. They were able to take a walk around the tour for UW Oshkosh, get a sense of the school. And then one of the big highlights is the UW Oshkosh cafeteria commons type of thing. They can have a meal there and just eat as much as you want. So the kids and I had a great time at that also.
And I heard that was the favorite part of the trip. Don't deny it. We had 6 county area middle schools participate in this competition, and our score was the 2nd highest overall. So, I mean, that's a good testament to the work that Mr. Smith is doing, our math teachers are doing. We can get better, and we strive to do that, but to have a team finish in the top 10% and a person finish in the top 10%, that's a great accomplishment, and congratulations once again. Mr. Smith, he actually drove the bus, so we got multi-purpose staff members here. So again, he organized this with Mr. Broden. The credit goes to him for making sure that our students get these wonderful opportunities. Another group that we're very proud of is our robotics team. And Daryl, I'm gonna give it to you.
Over here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm Daryl Benson. I'm the president of the North Fond du Lac Robotics Club. You wanna grab those other guys up here? So we had a middle school, well, okay, so we're an educational program. We don't strive to win at all costs, but we have some success, and that's kind of nice. We had, anybody that participates in this program is a winner from the experience they get, what they learn, and how it helps them grow. They obtain skills that they don't get elsewhere in life at this point. So we're pretty proud of all these guys. We had a team qualify for the World Championship. We don't go to nationals. We turn that down every year. We only go to the World Championship. We think we've had 1 to 2 middle school teams qualify for the World Championship the last 5 years. So we're doing okay. And some high school teams, but we're here for middle school today. So I'm gonna let these guys introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their experience. We start with 1032N. I don't know their names.
Option D, fun friend.
Yeah.
Mason and Barrett is what they're looking for.
Tell me their names.
I'm Barrett and this is Mason.
Sure, you wanna move those chairs?
My name is Mason Larson. Me, Barrett, built this pot. This pot, with skill and effort. And
So the bot is made of many different parts. We have different axes for the spinners, the wheels, and pretty much everything. The game this year was spin up. So you had to either build a shooter, a push, or something. So the shooter's job, which is not our bot, is to shoot a disc into the high goal. Our bot is a push and a roller with some expansion. So the rollers, or these wheels, there's a little spin thing on the map, and those rollers will spin it to our color of our alliance. So there's two colors, there's red, and there's blue. And each one is your team. So a push bot job is to roll a disc, into a certain zone of your alliance. Another thing a push bot can do is it can roll discs in the logo of another alliance, so roll them out. So, and with the expansion.
So at the last 10 seconds of the match, there's.
Don't expansion. So last 10 seconds of the match, you can pull these with ours, it's these two buttons.
That's snap.
Don't press them, I swear to God. Don't do it, Mason. So the way these work is this moves here, this moves obviously there, and this comes out, and they expand. The max we've gotten 12-ish squares with all.
So it's a 12 foot by 12 foot field made of about 18-inch squares.
Yeah.
And each square that they contact at the end of the match is how many?
3.
3 points. So they want to contact as many as possible because it's a game changer. So just let her rip, guys.
Do it.
Do it.
Some of them take longer because we haven't perfected it yet.
So this is their first year and they did fantastic. They qualified for state championship. They had a mishap or they would have done better. What was your mishap?
Our main driver, which is him, got sick, and I hadn't driven for like months, so. Scary.
So at the last second, he
Last second you drove.
got very ill and had to leave. But overall, successful day. You learned a lot. You had a good time. And you're ready for next year, right? You're pumped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already got ideas.
Yeah, you already worked on it, right?
We have ideas.
All right, Tom. Yeah, we're gonna be a little quick.
They're both at the same time, really.
Hi.
Hold it up so you can see it. Yeah.
Hello, here are two different teams, we both have one team member missing. We are the, wanna start with introducing ourselves?
Sure. I'm Devin Benoit.
I'm Ethan Milner.
I'm Kian Zabalski-Double.
Angel.
I'm Lillian O'Neill. So we are the team that made it to Worlds. We were in the, technology division. We placed 48th out of 82-ish teams. There were about 500-ish total middle school teams out of about 11,000 worldwide teams. So, like basically like top 500 teams out of like 11,000 went to Worlds and then placed into divisions of about 80-ish people. There are multiple different like programs. There are the IQ, which is plastic, DRC, which is metals, and then VexU is.
Go ahead, keep on.
VexU is basically where you have two different robots. One is 18 by 18 by 18 inch. Another one is 15 by 15 by 15 inch. And so you have to build two different robots. And so VexU is college level, so you have to go to college to do that.
It's okay.
And
You're doing great.
Oh.
Just tell about your robot though.
Okay.
We're gonna time crunch,
And,
okay?
and maybe a little bit unsafe.
Yeah.
So.
So everyone, for middle school qualified for state this year.
All our teams.
Yeah.
And
Well, all middle school teams.
Okay. no.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, keep going.
Tell them
Come on.
tell them
How about the
finals.
experience?
Um,
Tell them about the finals and what happened in the finals.
So, our team and 1032B, both made it to the finals. And the last match, we lost by like 40 points.
So, when it comes to state and worlds, like the finals is a best of 3. The other team won the first match, we won the second, and then, they won the third match. And we thought it was close, but, there's a thing called Tom's 1 point, which is, where you have an autonomous at the beginning, and, that scores points, and whoever scores more points in that autonomous period gets a 1 point. And so we thought it was close, but it was not. So, but still second, pretty good. And so, there's a skills, which is basically just drive by yourself, score points. And then, so we made to Worlds because we're second in skills. The ways you qualify to Worlds in Wisconsin for middle school is by either being the tournament finalist or getting the excellence award. And if a team gets finals and excellence, then it double qualifies to skills. First person in skills would usually get the award unless they already qualified for Worlds, so then they'd go down second, and we were that second team. So we got pretty lucky when it comes to qualifying for Worlds.
Just the team, just show them the shoot real quick.
So,
Just shoot.
yeah.
Just talking.
Okay.
Don't worry, that's all.
Yeah.
Or game. It's not really game. Yeah.
Well, we would show you our box shooting, but we do not have any air to put in our little air pusher. But we can show you an air pusher. Well, it's.
You can do that.
So they drive around the field and they pick up this disc, then they have to shoot them into this goal. If they fall out, they score for the other alliance. There's a red alliance and a blue alliance. There's 2 teams in each alliance. So if you shoot and miss, you're making points for the other alliance. So it's kind of tricky. All right, you guys got like 10 seconds, so.
Just to wrap it up, all this stuff is done with CAD software, coding, computer programming, designing, they take it apart, they rebuild it.
Yeah.
Autonomous programming.
These guys design and build and program their own robots. It's all on them. It's all on them.
GPS sensors, vision sensors, inertia sensors.
Yeah, and then they, tell them about your sensors, that you can tell them. Oh my gosh, well, what did they do? What did the sensors do?
They did things. They
Okay,
sent.
okay, you're talking. All right, so, yeah. So then there's sensors that they can use. Not a lot of teams use them. These guys are starting to get more and more into them. There's a GPS sensor, it tells them where they are in the field. There's a vision sensor. I think there's a color sensor, right? Tells you what color, what? Optical sensor tells you what color the elements are, so the robot knows if it wants to pick that one up or not, because it's the right color or the wrong color. Anything else? How about you?
Yeah.
What are you really good at?
Another part of robotics is notebooking, where you have to put everything you do into a notebook. And you do that every day, and then at the end, your notebook can get judged by notebook judges, I guess.
By the judges. Yeah.
And that can get you extra points. And you basically just write down everything you do, and if someone else needs ideas for a robot, they can look in someone else's notebook. And usually it has ideas and instructions how to make robots. And you also have to say if you change anything and why you changed it. The why is very important because it helps people like learn how to make stuff.
So they all do an engineering notebook, and the better your engineering notebook is, the better you're going to do. Because at the beginning of the competition, you hand it in, the judges look at it, and basically awards go to the teams that have the majority of the awards, the judged awards go to the teams with the best engineering notebooks. So that they have to document their entire design process. And that's basically what they're doing. It's an engineering notebook. So it's a big deal. She does a great job, and she's probably the best person to talk about it here. So, all right. Anybody else, anything? Okay, that's
all
it.
of the students,
Okay.
that participate are in different teams, and each team has a mentor, one or two or whoever. And those mentors are there to kind of watch over what they're doing, give ideas, options, that moral support. But mentors are only there to watch, guide, whatever. They may never touch the robots, and they aren't allowed to write in the notebook. This has to be totally student, no adults.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vance.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez and all the presenters. Our next piece is gonna go into some celebrations, and we're gonna start with solo ensemble. So, am I turning it to you, or who am I turning it to? All right. All yours.
All right, so we had a really successful solo and ensemble season this year. We did host this year, which was great. So we had an instrumental weekend and a vocal weekend. Vocal was first. We couldn't have done it without the number of volunteers that we had. Got great feedback from families in other districts that they thought like it ran very well. All of our volunteers had a smile on their face, which goes to like the track meet that you were at, saying that people really, it was wonderful that they felt the same way at a music event as well. As for high school, we had a number of individuals and ensembles perform. For state, we had 2 instrumental events qualify. Zach Lewick had his trumpet solo, he received a second, and then we also have our woodwind ensemble, part of them, who aren't running track. So receiving a first for our woodwind ensemble, we had Jocelyn Biddle, Anna Bledsoe, Samantha Butchley, Brady Christian, Aiden Fowler, Olivia Garcia, Megan Hall, Melanie Huff, Victoria Cologo, Violet Lang, Carla Martinez, Adler Meyer, Faith Falsgroff, Haley Schultz, Alexander Score, Brenna Style, Ella Style, and James Taschendorf.
And also not only with the trumpet solo, but the, you know, vocal solo as well. Zach Williams scored first at state solo ensemble as well. A lot of good success, both at district as well, with many students receiving a first. They just didn't get that star first to get the second performance slate at the last weekend, which happens to always be at University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. But speaking of that, we'll hear an awesome ensemble piece first before we get into the other music announcements as well.
So for those of you who are not familiar with solo ensemble, they have been working on this piece since like December or January. When you qualify for district, you perform the same thing at state. So we had to fine tune it even further, which talks a lot to their dedication and willingness to get into the hard work.
Also, a shameless plug, if you want to hear these students and vocalists perform this coming Wednesday evening and see awesome artwork, 6:30 p.m. for starting performance time of our 55th annual Striza concert and art show taking place at Forest Man High School's Performing Arts Center, and the art show in the Commons beforehand. So, shameless plug there for that going forward. Before we announce the musical, I do want to also recognize a very special couple of vocalists that couldn't be here this evening due to their involvement in athletics as well in their baseball game. But I want to recognize Abraham Maurer and Zach Lewitt with, again, selection into the Wisconsin State Music Association's Honors Choir for the second year in a row. About 1,300 auditions take place throughout the state, and 425 individuals are selected for both choirs and bands, orchestra, and those two tenors will be representing the School District North Fond du Lac for yet again at both a summer camp at UW Green Bay and the music convention in October in Madison that they perform at the Overture Center. So really cool recognition. I wanted to recognize their achievement and accomplishment in that. I have my co-director here, Julia Leitery, that will help me announce our 10th annual fall musical this upcoming November, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. My two other co-directors could not be here tonight, Ms. Krista Klonderman and Mrs. Catherine Ahrens, but they'll be helping as well. So I guess, could we get a drum roll?
Absolutely.
10th annual fall musical shook up. And what is all shook up, you say? Well, let me tell you. Inspired by Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, All Shook Up follows a small Midwestern town that's thrown into a frenzy of an arrival of a main character, Chad, who's a motorcycle riding character riding from town to town with a guitar on his back, blue suede shoes on his feet, and a song in his heart. The townsfolk are inhibited by their mayor, who holds on to frequent traditions, and the town begins to come alive once more under Chad's influence. Lovers meet, they woo, pursue, and more, all in one zany night that will change the town forever. All Shook Up is a rocking, heartwarming tale about following dreams, opening up to love, and the power of music, which is all based on Elvis Presley's music in his era. So, All Shook Up this coming November. Auditions will take place the first week in the 23-24 school year, open to any Horseman High School student.
Nice.
So, there we go.
Any questions for the group? Great job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. Good job. All right, well, we've got royalty in the room with our valedictorian, so want to first share that we're excited for Jack to be valedictorian for this year's class. And Jack, I didn't know if you wanted to take a moment to stand up and share anything.
As you know, my name is Jack McDowell. Class of 2023 valedictorian in the fall. I'm doing I'm attending the paramedic technician program at Marine Park, which is an associate degree in applied science. So I'll be pursuing advanced life-saving service skills then in the fall. And I just finished up an interview for the North Fond du Lac Fire Department, and I'm going to be working there this summer as an EMT for them, and hopefully getting my fire as well, and then be working as an EMT firefighter. And then in the fall, I'll be starting my ALS training. So yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
Nice.
Jack, what drove you into that world or that area?
So my uncle is a captain for the Sheboygan Fire Department. He's a paramedic firefighter, and he's a pretty big influence in my life with overcoming adversity. And in my younger years in middle school, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune disease that affects the colon, very similar to Crohn's, which affects the entire digestive tract. So I was very ill during middle school, and which kind of drives my passion towards healthcare and supporting others. And I didn't want to go to school for 4 years and further with nursing school. It's just something that I don't really want to take all loans for that. And I figured, what's a way I can do that? And I was able to do a ride along with my uncle in Sheboygan, and it really opened my eye. And going on those calls, I didn't get to go on any cool fire calls or anything like that, but just your routine medical calls was really cool to see the impact they have on their community. So I figured this is a great career choice for me. But a part of that, just like knowing the medical side and what it is like to not be on the patient side and have that view of being on the patient side, I felt like would give me a really good perspective and would make me a better emergency care provider. So those are some of the driving forces from all different angles. And as well as I was always interested in going to the trades, and I really enjoy doing stuff that's hands-on. And just like Mrs. Goldowski said, with Project Grill, I was a part of that last year. And a part of Project Grill is touring different manufacturers and local manufacturers, I should say. And the kind of driving force behind that is to get kids to see where they could work and open up different opportunities. And unfortunately, that kind of had the opposite effect on me. And I was like, maybe this isn't for me. And I had a change of thought about that. And like I said, I went on the ride along with my uncle. And that was
leadership class.
Yeah, as well as I was a part of youth leadership last year, my junior year. And one of those was, one of our days was spent at the Fond du Lac Firehouse across from Gillies. And we got to go through what a day was like for them and their different leadership processes. And that was also something that kind of spoke to me. And people always tell you in high school, when you find something that you like, it's going to click and you're going to like it and you're going to know it. And I'd never had that before with any of the trades, and I did those two things, and it was one of those things where it's like, this is for me. And I never really believed that that was something that would happen before, but when I got those experiences, I was like, yep, this is me.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, and oh, go ahead.
Do you want to introduce the
Yeah.
people with you that are
Yeah,
here
this is
for
my
you?
mom. Because you're calling this is my dad. Mike, Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I was just gonna say congratulations too on the awards night too.
Thank you.
Your scholarships that you were awarded and just all the recognition you got. So, job well done, and I'm glad you found your passion.
Thank you.
Awesome. And any questions for Jack?
Jack, when's your interview for the EMT?
My interview was just this last,
Oh, I
was it Friday?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, last week Thursday it was, sorry. Yeah, it was last week Thursday.
I'm also a police and fire commissioner in North Fond du Lac, and I'll be sure to put in a good word for the
Awesome. All right. I don't think, is Lexi?
Can we just acknowledge her though?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Lexi very well. So Lexi's gonna be our salutatorian for this year's class. And also, if you haven't seen, I know it's in our email, Lexi's big into fashion, and she has a fashion show on May 31st, I think, coming up next week, just showing her craft as well. But Lexi's in everything. I mean, you see her on the football field, you see her in basketball, all sorts of athletics, along with other things she's very passionate about. So I think it's just a congratulations to her as well for her work she's doing. All right, and Mr. Wisner, it's all yours.
Good evening, folks.
Yeah.
We've got annual reports here for you, and so we're going to quickly go through the highlights of our operations this year for the school store. I've got two awesome managers here with us tonight, Sammy Osorio and Johnny Wallander. Jack and Mackay had some other obligations we couldn't be here today, so we're gonna make them buy us tacos tomorrow. So we'll just go through this real quick, and you've got further detail in your annual report, so you can kind of see what's going on. So as I said, this is our team. We're blessed to have an amazing group of kids. 3 of the 4 will be graduating this year, which makes me sad, but it's been an honor to work with them. So as you know, our school store is operated here, and our whole goal for our operation is to provide our students with an opportunity to learn and grow in business, marketing, management, and entrepreneurship. Provide this community with the gear that they need to show off their school spirit, and then we give away all of our profits. Do you guys want to take this?
Yeah, I'll take it. So new this year, we had quarter zip adult pullovers, new designs on adult apparel, new designs on youth apparel, new winter hats, and new baseball style caps.
There you go.
Another thing that we included this year on our website, we actually have a category for NFDL athletics. So all this gear, you can customize it to a specific athletic you want to do it to. So it can be basketball, volleyball, etc. So we made that little category page to be so people can order whenever they want to as well.
So Jack is our group sales manager. Jack is in charge of making sure he's working with all the teams and clubs and making sure that they've got all the gear that they need for each team, and we make it as painless as possible and handle all the cash operations and stuff so the coach can do the coaching, and we'll just take care of all the gear for them. And then Mackay is also in charge of the management of the physical store itself, as well as our online sales for our standard gear, and then he's in charge of personnel for manning all of our events. Mackay will be sticking around next year, and he's in charge of training all the new folks as well.
I'm the sales promotions manager, so I control our social media. So anything that comes out, whether it's homecoming shirts or gear for a new sports group, I control that. So on Facebook, Instagram, Oriole TV, all those ads are on me.
I take care of all the finances, including the general ledger and doing end of year reports.
And then, of course, we've got our website, orioleoutfitters.com, which the kids maintain on a daily basis.
And those are some of the promotions I've done this year, just all over, from a pink out gear to all the sports to just like new gear that we have come in as well. And then that's all the stuff I really promote on, whether it's emails too, just to keep people ahead of the game to order through us. And then those are our pages as well.
Some of the things that Jack has been working with this year is he's pretty much hit, I think, 99% of our teams and clubs within the organization, which is great because I know that they're all working within Oriole Nation, and we give back to Oriole Nation as well. So we want to make sure that we keep that all in-house as much as we can and support each team and group. And then Mackay, this is some of the additional merchandise that we've got in the store as well that's been selling really, really nicely. One thing that's not on there that's sold a lot of is the blanket hoodies.
Yes, those are very popular, especially during the fall time when football's around.
So let's talk finances for a little bit. We'll let Johnny take the show here.
Oriole Outfitters this year has grossed almost 41,000 in sales and profited 5,600. And they've broken down in-store sales, special orders, and online orders. This is just broken down which team and club orders had the most sales out of all the categories.
So the team and clubs, that was 25? What was it?
It was 25, yeah.
So 25,000 of total sales was just for teams and clubs, which we do a incredibly low markup on, $2 per item. All the rest of the merchandise in the store itself has a higher markup, but we keep our costs down as much as possible in that team and club orders to make it nice for those clubs.
This is our sales versus profits. In blue is our sales and profits in black. In store, we profited off the most, but special orders, we definitely sold more.
That's a direct reflection of that profit margin that we run on lower gear for the teams and clubs.
And historically, our latest year here in gray, and then in black last year, and then blue 2 years ago, we are a little down compared to last year, but still going strong.
I'd attribute that to, there was a spike in demand coming out of COVID.
Sure.
Out of the 4 managers, we'll share about a 25% profit distribution. We awarded $500, five $500 scholarships to Jack, Sammy, Jonathan, well under me, Aiden, and Abby. The remaining, we're just gonna give to starting new inventory for the next year and giving out to Oriole Nation.
So that's 100% of our profit that we'll distribute this year. So next year, our managers will be bringing in Kale Voskiel, Mackay will be sticking around with us, Brianna Dobke, and then Maddie Lingoff. I've set the goal for them of 50 grand is our goal. If we can try to hit that, and we'll see what we can do. So that's it. Do you have any questions for us?
What's a goal for next year? Are you guys started looking at like, and I know you guys aren't returning, but has there been talk about based on the numbers and things like that? Have you, or that next group started looking at what are the possibilities moving forward? Or is there a goal set on that?
I'm gonna drop that 50,000 goal in front of them and let them figure out how to get there. Okay. I have a handful of ideas in my head, but I want them to figure that out, and that's up to them. I turn over the keys to the management as much as humanly possible in them. This is their show, this is their money, this is their business. I'm just here to make sure it doesn't burn down. So, and I want to make sure that it's leaving better for the next class and the following classes and such, so.
That was cool to see the in-store sales went up though. That's off the trend, right? What do you think, what caused that?
Well, we've seen solid growth in that. Just before COVID, we were able to build the new store. And that was a whole premise of if we can build a better store and be more present, we'll sell more. And if we can sell more, we can give away more. So that has paid off. I would like to see some more expansion in at FLC and BAMS specifically. That's all I'll say. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
thank you.
I have something just to add, because I haven't said anything, so I was like, after it's all well known. First and foremost, the students here, second to none. But the greatest thing, and one of the greatest things that North Fond ever did was hiring Kurt Whistler. What a fabulous individual, dynamic, charismatic,
Probably one of the sagest pieces of advice he gave me this year. Ask for advice, they'll give you money. Ask for money, they'll give you advice.
I learned that from Aaron
The things that he does with all of the different courses and classes that he works this year for our ice fishing team, Jack Stepbacher took care of me, came up with the design, and I worked solely with him. You know, Kurt wasn't, you know, he was hands off in that. Our construction gear we did this year too as well. But just dynamic, you know, I know you cut the hair and, you know, that put me back a couple pegs with you. Just a fabulous individual and a great teacher.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell. Okay, so buy more stuff for us, so we can get more away.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Two.
Thank you.
All right, that was awesome. We'll jump now to the clerk's report, so.
Correspondences, there were none. Donations, Backpack Buddies. We have $100 from Wayne and Janice Shingen, $1,200 from North Fond du Lac Optimist, and $50 from Denise Gation Brooks. That is awesome. Thank you to all of them.
Yes, thank you. All right, our next item is citizens comment. This is where anyone, if they have a comment they'd like to make to the board, they just do need to state, we still have that in their name and their address, and the board will not respond, but we're here to listen, so I don't know if anyone in the room has a citizen's comment. Yeah, go right ahead.
Melissa Kowalski, my son is Barry Kowalski, W7043 Forest Avenue. Nathaniel's in 12th grade, about to graduate. 2 weeks left of school.
One.
Okay. Just would like to share this with you. He was given this in World Literature class on May 11. It's titled Privilege Survey. He brought it to me late that night. He said they were given to him at the end of class. And he wrote up on the top, I don't like this assignment. There are 43 questions on here. You answer yes or no if it applies to you, and then you total up your score. That's what the directions say. Some of the questions: if most of your family members worked in careers requiring a college education, if there were more than 150 books in your home while you were growing up, if your parents took you to art galleries, plays, and museums growing up, if you ever attended a summer camp, if you were encouraged by your parents to receive post-high school education or training, if you were raised in a two-parent household. If you ever felt that clerks watch you more than others, customers in the store, or if you were accused of cheating or lying because of your race or ethnicity, if you were easily able to go to a store and buy products suited for your hair type and skin color, if you were ever stopped and questioned by police because of your race or ethnicity, if at least one of your parents was not born in the United States. Again, it's clearly labeled privilege survey. This was given out at the end of class for the kids to take home, read over, kind of figure it out, and then bring it back to class the next day. The next day I walked in, I said, what's the purpose of this? And she said, it's to discuss socioeconomics and cultures. And this is world literature. I'm thinking, we're talking about authors. Let's talk about who these authors were. Talk about the authors' cultures, their backgrounds. Every question on here is if you or if you're. This is asking the kids to do an analysis of themselves and how they were brought up or what's going on. And this was never addressed in class. Any of these questions, none of it was discussed in class. Maybe because I talked to her in the morning and I talked to the dean. But he was very distraught when he showed this to me at night. And these kids went home with this, and you know what? They're young minds. They don't know how to take these 43 questions and go, should I feel bad because my parents want me to go to college? I just wanted you guys to see it. You can take a look at some of the other ones. The ones that are checked on the side or the X's I just read off. You can read some of the other questions if you like. I just want you guys to know that this was handed out to our students at the high school. And I approached the teacher and I told her, I said, this reeks of CRT. She goes, I don't know what you mean by CRT. I was gasping.
So during the unit for this, we're reading independent book reviews and stuff. Just had to be a book from an author that was not from the United States or Canada.
And we'd be going into this, reading the book, and right now in class for like researching the book and stuff, all summarization, all that stuff, and cultural impact of within the book and correlating to like how cultural impacts in that region of the world would affect like the book and how it was portraying it. And this is like mostly for the book by the time we get this, and I feel like the assignment that we were given this over the privilege survey, I don't feel like that's a great way of, if the idea for it is to like show students that there can be differences between cultures, maybe people in Asia, or maybe it's harder for them in Asia than it is here. A good way to do that is to contrast differences between the United States and Asia or whatever country, not between people and groups within the United States. This is a world literature class. And for a question such as this about like saying that you're privileged if you live in a household where your parents haven't divorced and moved away from each other yet, it's not comfortable. It feels wrong. It doesn't feel like it belongs in the world literature class. And I honestly don't feel like it belongs in a high school classroom at all.
I guess I can also add too, the next day I took it to work with me. I do work with 7 Mexican immigrants. They all here work visas, so they are legally here. And I showed them and they read it. And they just looked at me like, why are they asking these questions of your son? Nobody could give me an answer.
To my knowledge, the class is 11th grade, 12th grade. It might be 10th grade as well.
Is it an elective or a requirement?
It's one of the English classes.
Do you know, is it elective or required?
When you get to the higher level Englishes, there's different selections, so only
Kind of new to the
required,
district.
the only required are 9th and 10th grade English. Apart from that, you can take American literature, world literature, and then I believe there are some advanced CAP and AP classes as well. So this one is not required.
Not required, but at some point you still need to have
You do
4
need
credits of
four
English.
English credits to graduate, correct?
So if you were to avoid the AP classes, avoid the CAP classes, this would.
You could take other ones with either Mr. Jagodinski, Ms. Connor.
Yeah.
By the way, Jack McDowell, W6 for
Thank you.
Sorry. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. And just, yeah, and if there's any additional comments, we're here to listen, so we appreciate you sharing. But is there anything else before? Yep, I just want to make sure that, were you complete with your comments? I didn't want to cut you off, that's why.
Should be.
All right, are there any other additional citizens' comments?
I would like to make a comment as well.
Yep.
As I said, Jack McDowell, W64716 Tinker Road. I'm also in the world literature class, and it was like I'm in a different class than the thing. I'm not in the same class. It was given out towards the end of the period, and she might not have said this in the Daniels class, but this wasn't an optional assignment. It was not graded or anything like that. And I do understand your concern and understand that this can be quite an uncomfortable topic, as we all know that it's, I don't want to say it's controversial, but it is uncomfortable to talk about in different backgrounds. Everyone comes from a different place, so it's very uncomfortable to talk about. But the whole unit that we were talking about and the word we were defining was cultural sensitivity, because as Nathaniel stated, our unit is on an independent book from an author from a different country that faces struggles that are different from our own. So we were defining cultural sensitivity and understanding what that might be, whether it's for you, for the author, and whatnot. So that assignment was not like a mandatory one. And so just like, I want to put that out there. Like, I understand that there was quite some confusion around that, and it was uncomfortable for others. But the next day it was just crumpled up, and it was specifically told us, do not put your name on it, do not share it with anyone. This is your personal. And then the next day, all the papers were crumpled up, and you had to throw it to a trash can in the front of the room. And then that was the whole lesson was, some people start behind you, and to understand these differences that some people have to overcome. And it's not just based off race and ethnicity, it's based off whatever in the world somebody might be behind on, whether it be being born into a single parent family. My book I read was called In My Hands by Irene, who is a Holocaust survivor. She was actually a Polish woman who was forced to work in for a German officer, and she actually hid Jewish individuals in the basement of the German officer. So that was understanding her setback, and that was the whole point of the assignment, was to kind of give you a personal view. So when we do go into our project that we have now, which is making a website based around our book, which is like a whole book review just in a website, then you have kind of a personal eye into the whole assignment. So I do believe, obviously, being given out at the end of the hour was a little bit off, but I just wanted to put it out there that the assignment was not mandatory, and I do understand that Daniel's concern, and I respect your concern with that. I do understand. I just want to put that out there.
I do have a question, Mr. Research allocation. When you were saying that when it was assigned, were you told that it was to crumble up the next day? Or was that just something they were told at the beginning of that day's class?
I was not told it was going to be crumpled up, but I was told the assignment isn't due and to not put my name on it and not to share with anyone. This is just personal information for me to reflect on, and that it did not have to be completed, but it was given to us.
So that piece of paper never needed to be given out in the first place. You could have had to take any sheet of paper and toss it into the garbage can and get an example of how front and back.
I think we should just for the comments, citizens' comments, this is, sharing comments to the board. So there's further discussion, after, I don't think this is the appropriate place for that. But I do appreciate everyone's input, and bringing this to the board's attention. But other than that, I'll open it up if there's any additional comments from anyone else on any topic. All right, we can move on to the next agenda item, which is superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. We're gonna start off with, I don't know, how many weeks ago was that now, Dave? A few weeks now, since the village approved the move on ELC and Trevor Way projects for the referendum projects.
3 weeks ago.
The building committee and the commissions committee was, we got a chance to sit down with them, as well as people from Bray and the city and the village, and they shared out some of the things that were going on, and everyone green light for those 2 projects. We're still putting together the other projects for BAMS and for Horace Mann, and we will be going back to them in middle of June to ask the same thing. So I'm more or less just giving you updates that the city is behind this. I think we might share that, or the village is behind this. So exciting for that to get going and start going here soon. We're gonna find out bids on Friday this week already. So we'll figure out where we're at, and hopefully we can move on this and get it going this summer with both those projects. So
Question, maybe Mark, for you. Usually when the bids are announced, it's shovel ready, and I don't know if that's part of the jargon, but how long before we actually see that?
Part of what Dave Mertens with C.D. Smith, when he went for bid, was also asked the bidders their availability. So Friday, when we have bid opening, we'll know a little bit more about that. I know the company that demoed the part of the presentation building bid, and their timeline is end of August. So we're hoping somebody else can come in and competitive and sooner.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on that item?
All right, Steve alluded to this before. He was able to come and watch the in-service day that we had for staff a couple weeks back. Friday, we had all staff members, facilities, aides, our educators together at FLC, and at FLC, I started out the day with just a quick opener, about an hour, and where we sat down and just foreshadowed some of the things that we're looking to do for next year as well and the years to come. Talked about a little bit of the strategic planning. We talked about like what some of the professional learning might look like for next year. So we gave kind of just an overview of some of those components. At the very end of it, we also created a purpose statement, and we, similar to what Ted ran you through in 6 minutes, we did that with the whole entire district staff. So think about that, like throwing all those words up on the board. We got it down in 6 minutes. We can share out that purpose statement, but we got a nice little collection together that we could put that out there. And we also asked, what were those behaviors that are going to need us to get to that spot if we want that in that area?
And so from this, what we're gonna do then is in June, sit down with our strategic planning team and talk about possible beliefs that we're gonna have within our cultural playbook, or, you know, where we wanna go, and then what do those look like as far as adult behaviors, student behaviors within the district itself. So super excited about that. And the other side of it was Lucas Jaden from Jaden and Jones. This is an organization where Lucas Jaden and Steve Jones are part of, and their mission, or what they work towards, is mental training, both in mindset as well as skill set. And it's all about like, how do we get ourselves right on the daily so that we can be the best version of ourselves, but also in the time when we have different events that are coming into our way, how do we give the best response and create the best experience for the people we interact with. We can't control what our outcome is going to be. We can't control the event or the people that are part of that, but we can control the response that we're having. And so as an organization, we need to understand what are some of those, not only as a mindset to do that, but also some skill sets that really, you know, give us the best, you know, possibility of creating the best outcome. So some of those skill sets, just really quickly, we talked about, and this is coming from Lucas Jaden and Jones, pressing pause, like taking a breath before you get into a situation where you're, you know, a little bit uncertain of, or it's like your blood pressure is about to rise, just taking that breath, backing away from the situation. The next part is getting curious before curious. Start asking the questions, like why, what's going on, what's happening within that arena, and go into that source and really understanding what that world's about. The third is really controlling the controllables. What can you actually control in that environment or any kind of situation? And it's like how you're going to respond to that situation. And then basically the last one is make the best action. So standing up and owning whatever that response is going to do, and you're going to try your best within that to produce the best response. And you're going to learn from it as well. And you might have to make modifications. We're all human beings. We do default. We do have we make mistakes. And then from those mistakes, we learn from, as well as then, you know, do the best for the people that we're part of. So really, as adults in the community, understanding how can we work together best, but also understanding how can we be the best versions of ourselves within the response. That's the gist of it. So Lucas spoke to the whole group. He did a couple shout outs, which were really cool, where everybody in the room had a chance to sit down and just talk to each other and just like, who's one person in this room that you give a shout out for and why, and give a specific example. What I really liked about it is it went beyond educators and went to the facilities. Chris from the night crew, someone acknowledged him. He got to stand up and feel like, you know, like everybody was owning it in that room. It wasn't like, oh, you're better than the other, or nothing of that. It was like everybody was a team and a unity. And then I think Chrissy Walters was another individual that was pointed out, like the two that he had big scale to share that out. So that was the power add. In the afternoon, he then went to every single building or buildings, and he spoke individually to those groups. Similar story, but just walking a little bit deeper into each one of those areas. And to me, like every person I've talked to, at least within our organization, that was the best PD we've ever had. Thank you so much for bringing them in. I can't wait to learn more about this. And just a real, you know, PD's hard to do. It's hard to make everybody happy within that arena. Just like in a classroom, it's hard to make everybody within that arena engaged. We had a lot of engagement on that Friday. And I feel like that's going to transcend into next year as we continue to work with them. As Steve mentioned, this is a whole nother year where we're going to be working with him and his company as we build this. So that was the day, proud moments and good for our district for sure.
Any questions on that item? Okay. Next one's budget update review.
Maria, you wanna do a little update?
Well, an update for 23-24. There really is not much to share since the last time I updated you. The Joint Finance Committee is meeting, and there have been several groups that have gone and testified at some of those meeting places. They're talking about special ed, you know, raising that aid limit. Right now we're being aided about 30%. Governor Evers is asking for 60%. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll land somewhere in the middle there. They're also talking about revenue limit increases, the per pupil portion of it. We have some districts that are getting around 10,000, which is where we're at. We're at about 10,007 per pupil. And we have some that are getting 23,000. So there's a definite disparity throughout the state. And that's all we're asking for is, you know, can we just be average? Because we're not even average. So, and then there are pockets that are higher and pockets that are lower. So there's a lot still coming. We are now budgeting. I don't have any more information as far as that budget goes, but you know, we're working on it and listening and just trying to gather as much information as we can from our peers and what their thoughts are.
You know, meeting with the legislators again, you know, on the monthly, and next year I want to bring you all into that because now I'm more familiar with how this operates. But you know, key players in the Joint Finance Committee are sitting right in our CISA, so Representative Bourne and others, and we get to talk to them one-on-one. And there's a lot of share outs and similar kind of conversations, like how do we want the best for our kids, and we want, and that comes with resources as well as getting the best staff in front of us as well, like Kurt Wismer's and Mike McDowell's and others, you know, so like, and Anthony Rasmussen and Juliet. I mean, we could go on, but these are those things that we came forward with, those touch points with the legislators, and obviously they have a ton of constituents. The best we heard from them was we hope to be done with our budget or setting the budget middle of June. It's really optimistic, and we hope that we can see that because this could go on for a little bit of time. But at the same time, the other thing is that there is going to be some type of increase. We just don't know what that's going to be.
Right.
And we kind of like are just waiting until that time comes. We can't really do too much more at this point in time with the game, but had some really good conversations with those individuals, and I think to a point where, guys, we understand what you guys want. You're in a nice way because I think CISA 6 and Ted does a really nice job of working with the legislators where they want to come back. They don't feel like they're scrutinized or, you know, we have a really good dialogue. It's not just gimme. It's a conversation and like good questions back and forth between and like listening to where they're at too. So we're pretty lucky to have that as well within our region to be able to, you know, monthly or every other month, you know, sit down with folks from that world and learn and just also get a sense of like, how can we best help and support too? Because they want to help too, from both worlds down there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we get through here. Do you want to talk about the final thing on there with the food service just quickly so we can move it in? Yeah.
Sure.
And I can talk about next meeting stuff after that.
Sure. Every 5 years, the DPI requires us to go out to bid for our food service management company. And actually, this is year 4 for us, but because we go out to bid with the Fond du Lac School District, we share resources with them. So then we can share the cost with them. DPI is now requiring us to have the same schedule, and this year was year 5 for them. So we went to bid together. We put RFPs out to about 30 different companies, and we got 3 bids, and one was Aramark and then 2 other companies. We each, Fond du Lac and we have 5 committee members to evaluate those bids. And we came together last week, it was, correct?
Yes.
Last week.
Yes.
And we all sat around this table and talked about, you know, the pros and cons of each of those 3 companies. And we have a rubric, which we will share at a special board meeting that we're going to request from you. But, and the rubric is actually, there's a template from DPI and then we can tweak it a little bit, but we will be ready June 12th, if we can do that special meeting then, to make a recommendation for the next food service management company. And while it is a 5-year span that where we don't have to go out to bid, it is a 1-year contract, so we could, you know, if something changes in one of those years, year 2, year 3, we can go back out to bid. But there will be 3 choices that the board has. One, you can accept our recommendation. You can not accept our recommendation, and then we have to go out to bid again. And just keep in mind that July 1st is when our contract ends with Aramark. So, and then the third one would be that you would not accept either one and that we would go self-operating. So, we're not allowed to share the rubric or the scoring until after. So
For DPI
very, very
policy.
rigid, yes, DPI is very, very rigid on that. So more to come, hopefully on June 12th, and do we set that now, or?
We can set, we'll set something up so we can find people's calendars, and we want to do that right now, so we
Okay.
can make sure that we get that through. So,
Okay, yeah, any questions on that?
And that would take start next year then.
correct.
Right.
Okay, I got one more thing, future board agenda items. We will be talking about student and lunch fees, okay, so hand in hand with that. Staff guidelines, just kind of reviewing some of those things and what's in there, so you can see kind of in here, maybe, and I know you've reviewed them in the past, but just going back over those again, so that we're set for the 23-24 school year. I want to add graduation onto this for next year, so we have that date, so we can select that and finish that as we move forward. So those are a few of the things that are coming up here.
One thing
Next
that I thought, and I could have remembered wrong, I thought we were gonna talk about staff survey results.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Oh, we were
We can add that right on there. Yep, absolutely. Thanks very much, Rick. And those, we did share with our staff on that morning too. That was another component within that, just sharing out what were the results, at least from the district level. So the educators and everybody within that, or with our district, excuse me, we got that understanding, but we can break it down for you a little bit more per that panorama survey that we gave. Okay, good. Thank you. All right.
I'm good on that then?
Yep.
All right. All right, our next item is new business. So the first one is discuss and consider new schedule of facilities fees.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have a great team of people, and this is on page 67 of 68. So if you're playing at home, just so you know that, Marie Putzer, Dave Mann, myself, Jake Dostalik, Karen, and Sarah, correct. So we had a crew of people looking at this, and what we were doing on a normal annual, I think, just like reviewing what our fees are for our facilities and where they're at. And then we started doing a little bit deeper comparison within other districts around us, just to see, were we comparable, were we way low, or were we way high, those kind of things. But we also wanted to set a systems because it was all over the place, like who's got what, and it was kind of unclear to the average eye of like, how are we charging or what's charging? So what are we charging the individuals? So this gave us a little bit more of a specific breakdown. And if you see on here, there's 4 different tiers. So we have a tier 4, tier 1 is non-resident, so for profit. So let's say an organization just said like, hey, we want to use your facilities outside of us, like errands or something like that. And they came in, that would be more of that arena. Other examples on here, AAU, another school district, company events, plays and musicals from St. Mary Springs, those kind of things as possible. And then tier 2, non-resident, nonprofit, so outsider community, nonprofit organization, and then the event being held as free of charge. So this is completely from outside of our community, and we don't have anybody within that range, and they're still they're a nonprofit versus the profit. Then the tier 4 here, and let's see what tier 3, this should be, I think it keeps going on here, doesn't it? Okay, let me just look here. No, it should be tier 3. Resident for profit. So if we have residents within it and they're for profit, what does that charge look like? An example of that could be youth basketball, pickleball tournaments, St. Mary Springs performances, those kind of things that are going on with that, because we do have students from those areas in those schools, and then our villagers from those schools. And then also tier 4 is then resident and then staff nonprofit. So our community members, staff members, event is being held for charge, or free of charge, and nonprofit for community organizations. We got a whole list of different things, from Pinewood Derby to pickleball ball practices to youth sports practices. So from that, just finding those 4 tiers was kind of a struggle just to say like what makes sense.
But we also worked off of, again, I don't know how many other districts we had, probably like 10 or 12 different districts we were looking at, like local, Mayville, Oakfield, someone comparable in size, in that area, so we could get a good sense of what's going on. Then what we decided to do is, okay, so how does this look, when we break this down for all those different areas? And by buildings, we have the buildings, and then we look at the charges per hour, as well as like, what does that look under each tier? All these colors associated with the different tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, right down the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, right. They go right down the side here, and they show like the hours, and then whatever the cost might be for that, specific to gyms, to the PAC, to other areas, the complex, the football field, and the track as well. So we're trying to, and again, this was created to, get more comparable within that arena in terms of where we're at as a facilities, and get more systematic with what we're doing. Maria, Dave, did you have any other things that I'm missing here as we're moving along?
I think you did it pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
So if I read this right, like under a resident nonprofit, so like the youth sports practices, that $75 custodial fee would be waived?
That would be the $75, it gets waived unless it goes over, right, the time.
If, we left it kind of open-ended, saying if we find some damage or
it takes longer.
Guys to come in and spend 2 hours cleaning up some morning after a weekend. We do work with youth sports, especially basketball. Currently, we charge them by the hour. Their group right now is really good with keeping things fairly clean. So, and they've been agreeing that that 75 an hour is good for them. It's mainly just trying to protect us for times that we come in and it's tore up. It's usually in this building. Ron's got his mornings are already booked, and you don't want to find that. So we have to have that. I'm going to call it over their head, but it's protecting us and protecting them.
And again, like our facilities they're everything with any use, it wears, right? And over time, and that's why we really want to make sure that we're able to, then put whatever money is coming from this then, and maybe Maria, maybe you can talk about this too. It goes back into like these community areas.
Yeah, I can set up a fund just for that. That will roll from year to year rather than this money going back into fund balance. So that we can build up a reserve for things that need to be updated, repaired, just from wear and tear.
Was there limitations to like what that could do, or is it, if it's a separate, just has to go back to whatever we?
Well,
Like,
it's basically, if like that area or those locations or whatever that the community uses, and we use, that's where it has to go.
Okay, that's what I was asking,
Yeah, and that can be pretty wide in terms of what that looks like.
I have one suggestion, being in the commercial insurance field. I think, you're correct in asking them to present evidence of liability insurance. I think what I would like to see is be more specific, where they supply actually a certificate of insurance from their carrier. It's a simple process. They just call their agent, and the agent can do it usually, or they call the carrier and they can email that, an hour later. So that gives the insurance company a lot of help in knowing that if they have to involve them, if there is a problem or an injury or whatever, they go right to that carrier and say, we got a claim for you.
I think currently Sarah does require that.
Okay.
With her insurance.
Yeah, I don't know how it's exactly worded on there now. I can't remember, but we just,
I just know
It's
that
in the notes, but
Third one down.
Third one down.
Each organization will be required to present evidence of liability insurance.
Yeah, but I think in the business, the jargon, if the specific language.
Sure.
Copy of the certificate of insurance.
Yeah, okay, great.
I just know we were waiting on one for, other than that in July. From the outside company.
All right.
Okay.
So just for example, I'm just thinking youth basketball
Yeah.
tournament, right?
Yep.
So if they have, I'm just gonna say, a huge tournament where they're using this facility, the high school and maybe even middle school, how much is that they would hit? I mean, so you're looking at a weekend. So I mean, so I'm just looking at that gym, all 3 courts, $1,000 max per day. Right, so then Bessie Allen gym, whatever max per day, and then.
Where are you seeing that? I'm sorry.
I'm just looking at the gyms.
Yep, okay.
So I'm looking at, right, so resident, I guess for profit is.
Yes, yeah. So like entire gym, 75 for the first hour, 50 for additional. And again, that's really to meet the custodial fee that within the given time. Which over the period of time, then it could, and this one's more of the tournament, 150 or $800 for max day.
Right.
Now you're saying if all 3 gyms were?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because then you're looking at probably commons or cafeteria also, or at least for one of them.
Right.
So I'm just saying $1,200 max per day. That's a Saturday, Sunday. That's $2,400 for FLC. It's 800 and 800, so that's 1,600. I mean, yeah, I know that they're trying to make a profit to keep the thing going, but that's a lot of money.
I think.
And I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
no.
it wouldn't be like, okay, you guys are youth basketball, will whatever price it is, but I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think we were trying, if you notice, like in the green versus the yellow, and where that yellow zone with the clubs, I mean, it's $200 less than what we are doing there, but also I think we got to think about reasonably, like, I think we've said like all 3 gyms, was that it, or was it just the one per? I just started clarification.
For that was using all 3 gyms here.
Yeah.
I do know, youth basketball did use all 3 gyms here on 2 events, and then Bessie Allen.
Yeah.
And the current group said they're not gonna do that again. They don't have enough
It's too
people
much.
to work.
I was just, I agree.
No,
with
I-
that, but I'm just making up, for
Right.
instance,
That's
hypothetically.
back to Matt's point before, is, we've got floors that we have to think about, we redo them every year, which is part of a maintenance program, but if we're gonna go down to a sand down and refinish and repaint, it's not saying that this is gonna make even close to enough to even think about paying for that, but it's gonna sure take some of the burden off.
Yeah.
We also want to keep partnerships too, though.
I know.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, how do we do this and, make sure that, people who are in here, we're trying to be cognizant and yet value too. And again, this is where that comparison went to, 10 different school districts where we're lower end on that dollar amount. So, I mean, I think.
Well, I mean, our facilities are worth it. I'm not going to disagree with
Right.
that, but I was just.
Adding it up.
You know what they make on those youth, like the boys youth basketball tournament? Do you remember what they make on that?
I mean, most of their money comes from food concessions. I don't know what, like the entrance fees for those tournaments would cover the gym maybe for one school. I'm just thinking like, what are they total?
Admissions usually cover the referees, I would imagine.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know the exact answer to your question. No, I don't.
I'm confused. Okay, when I think of the youth basketball tournaments, wouldn't that fall under the resident staff nonprofit? Does nonprofit refer to somebody making money, or does it refer to an organization that's a nonprofit?
Yeah, they don't have employees or anything.
Are they making money? They're making money at a tournament because they're charging people to come in and they're
selling concessions.
Right.
Yeah.
I looked at it as the tournaments would be for profit, but like the practices.
The practices are not.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not, like league for the youth basketball would be not profit. Cause there's no fee, like the 3rd through 6th, I think does it.
Oh, yeah, okay. But so I still think there's a difference between a resident residents are doing something for profit and one that's a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. I don't know if the youth basketball is incorporated that way. I know Pride Day or North Pondy Fest is an actual nonprofit corporation. So which one would, that they're making money, but which one would that fall under? You know, I don't know if it's just confusing or if it should
Well, I
be.
think, on those, the difference for me is on the for-profit stuff where you're running a tournament, you're leaving a lot bigger mess for these guys.
Right. That's what it
If
comes
it's just
down to.
if it's just a practice, I mean, I've been watching them, they police it and they clean up. You guys are probably pretty happy with the way they, but no matter how hard they try after a tournament, it's gonna be a mess.
Sure. Well, and I understand that, you know, I guess the part that I come back to again is they're making money, but that money's all coming back to us in some manner, right? They're buying equipment for the teams and sponsoring the kids to go to tournaments.
But they are separate from the school district.
They are.
Right.
So that's the challenge here is like, we want to partner, but they are separate entity from, they're not under the wing of, BAMS or, but they are school district North Fond du Lac Club or whatever it might be, right? Yeah.
I guess to me, if it was an organization that took the money and did stuff elsewhere, but I think everything that they probably use that money for benefits the district as a whole in some manner. Whether it's giving kids tournament experience to increase their athletic skills and, as eventually we'll get to high school and things. Okay. But I understand the cost factor because there's a lot of work needed and involved.
Steve, this was a tough conversation, but like we racked about exactly what you're talking about here. We just felt we're gonna start here and, see where we go. And I think we'll have to reevaluate if we have to. We can always do that. But at the same time, this is our next, best action with this work. And we felt like we had to put something together that had a little more systematized process to it, especially just to keep things clean. I mean, when Dave's guys are coming in for the weekend, they're getting paid $75 an hour, so we got to make sure we can maintain it so we're ready for the school day on Monday. And that's tough to do too on that back turn. So,
and that's not to belabor the point too, but I remember about 15 years ago, there was a coach who brought in a soccer star coach, I don't know what, I think he was from Germany actually, and was in the United States, brought him in, used their facility and charged kids like $50 to be there for the day.
Sure.
And then that guy took the money and went home or went to other places like that. And to me, that sounds more like, well, that'd be, I guess, under non-resident for profit. So, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, then we'll have to, the recommendation is to approve and discuss, consider the new facility fees that we saw, so I'll look for a motion.
Excuse me, can I interject one more question? When putting this together, did you talk with the groups that would use the school, mainly youth basketball, I guess, and any feedback or that?
We haven't yet. That's the next step here too, is to talk through some of these things as well. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So make the motion to approve.
Looking for a second.
I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Matthew,
Yes.
Goldowski. I'm gonna say no. Jaeger,
Yes.
Geckerman,
Yes.
Hawk.
No.
All right, well, it passed with 3 votes. So we'll move on to the second item, which is discuss and consider summer school educator contracts for 2023 school year.
And I really don't have information other than what you were given. So it's just, we have to move along with summer. So we get that rolling and we need support and backing from you to make that happen. So
I'll declare one more potential conflict of interest and abstain from discussion and vote.
Any questions on the contracts? Get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Jaeger,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Huck,
Abstain.
Goldowski, yes, Geckerman.
Yes. All right, the third item is discuss and consider North Fond du Lac Charter High School contract.
So I sent that out to you a while back. There were no other changes. The board approved this, the governance board. So we're just looking for, the approval of this as a district, saying that we're good with their charter. We have the ability every 5 years to go back to that, and they can redo that charter and change it up or modify, but they have to come back through us as well. So we're the final, kind of blessing within this frame, but it is for the Exploration Charter High School. It's got the contract, and hopefully you're able to check it out. Is there questions that you have, yes, as a board on any of the contract items within that agreement? Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll just look for a motion to pass the North Fond du Lac Charter School contract that was shared with us.
So moved.
Second.
Matthew,
Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Jaeger,
Yes.
Geckerman.
Yes. And our final item is discuss and consider budget revision that was shared.
Yes, I included in the packet the budget revision document that goes to the recorder. And it's something that we had done in September and in October, and then these are the May revisions. It's something that I started when I started here 12 years ago. It just gives the DPI a better picture of where we're at so that they can better forecast our aid. We have a July 1st aid estimate, and this gives them a better idea of what our aid can be. It also gives all of us a better picture of where we're going to be at the end of the year. There are a few big items that we're still waiting for. One is high-cost special ed aid. I just talked with Judy McHugh this morning, who does that report for us, and she's tweaking a few things, and then we should hear what that number is the beginning of June. And I have, I believe, 180,000 budgeted. So it'll be right around. That's what it was last year. So I'm thinking that we'll have about the same amount this year. And it is dependent on what other districts do as well. There's a pot of money and it gets distributed. How we finish up the year with health insurance, dental insurance, all of those bigger ticket items are still out there. But if all goes as planned, we should be balanced at the end of the year. I'm showing like a $58,000 surplus, which is up from a $94,000 deficit, which we projected in October. And then I outlined on this budget revision sheet, I outlined the explanation of the variances. We got some revenue in throughout the year, so that's all outlined on that sheet. So if you have any questions on that, I just kind of gave you kind of a high level look at where those variances, why those variances happened.
I had a question, I don't know if it's more than one or not, but on the debt service fund, the defeasance in October was 2.2 million and now it's 3.8 million.
The defeasance was 1.6 million. That's the amount that we sent early, that we sent to pay off debt.
Well, I guess where I'm confused is the October budget number. It says 2.2 expenditures and other finances.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the May budget is 3.8. So I'm wondering why those two budget numbers
For the
are.
expenditures, right. In October, the expenditures would be for Fund 39 would have been 2.26 million, but we spent that extra 1.6 I guess it's 1.4 is the difference because we spent the defeasance money. So if we hadn't, we would have that in fund balance. We would have that 1.4 million in fund balance, but we're spending it on top of our loan payments. So in October, we weren't sure we were gonna defease yet.
Oh, I thought we had approved that and,
No, we didn't approve it until, actually after the November election. And the original budget came out in October,
okay, that's,
yeah.
we had talked about it in October, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
That was one of the options that we would have.
Then I saw up above in the general fund on our federal sources where we spent, whatever, like 80,000 less in ESSER funds.
Yes.
So I was just curious how much we have left in ESSER funds, and is there a deadline we have to spend that by? Do we have a plan for that?
We will have about $130,000 left to carry over into 23-24. We have until September of 2025 to spend it.
That money's most likely gonna continue to go towards interventionists.
Yes.
Majority of it, so staffing.
Okay, that was my only question. I didn't understand that defeasance. I thought we had budgeted it before, so I didn't understand why it went up so much.
Oh, yep. Good question. Anything else? Our audit is at the end of July, so the August meeting, I should have, it actually carries out throughout, they're here in July on site, but they'll be doing work throughout the summer and into the fall for us, but I'll have a really, really good idea of where we land at the August meeting. And I will definitely keep you updated on anything that comes up between now and then.
All right. Any other questions? So then we'll look for a motion to approve the budget revision for this year's budget.
So moved.
I'll second.
Matthew,
Yes.
Geckerman.
Yes.
Hack,
Yes.
Kowalski, yes, Jaeger.
Yes.
All right, next is a motion to go to closed session.
We do not need to go.
Oh, we don't need to go?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
We have nothing right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Then our next motion is to adjourn. We're not gonna come back to open. So our next motion to adjourn for the
I'll make
meeting.
that motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh. That's fine, Rick, Ryan, yeah.
Hack,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Kowalski, yes, Jaeger.
Yes.
Geckerman.
Yes.
Can we please set that June 12th meeting?
Yeah, we do have a meeting. I just looked at that, June 13th with Ted for the high performing, just review as a board. So we wanted that in there. So I know that's Tuesday. I wonder is, around that same week or another time, do you need it the 12th or?
Yeah.
We needed 12.
I do.
Okay.
I could see if DPI could allow